Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to yet another episode of Dead Money. I got some hand histories from you from this past week and a half, I guess. It's continuing to be a bit of an uphill battle, bit of a head-scratching run of the opposition is either continuing to hit sets every hand. That's usually difficult to overcome, or they're just always seem to know exactly what they do, exactly when they're supposed to do it. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing against a bunch of super users, but on we go. First thing to talk about, the cutoff limps. He's deep. Doesn't look like someone who's going to be particularly good at poker. I mean, just from looking at him. And then when he limps the cutoff after it folds in front of him, that doesn't indicate that that assumption's going to be incorrect. I got ace-10 off in the small blind, and this isn't a great hand, but you gotta figure it's doing pretty good against the cutoff's limping range, and just limping in just feels a little weak, even though I don't really want to raise. But I raise and make it 40. Flop comes ace-9-4 rainbow. I check called 20, he only bets a quarter. Two of spades on the turn. Flush draw is possible now. I check, and now he only bets 40. And I raise to 110. I mean, I know this is going really thin, but I just think I have to have the best hand here pretty often. It takes a long time to call. River is a 6. And I bet 155, and now he comes up with a raise to 375. And I tanked on this for a little bit, and it's just, when am I expecting this guy to turn over? I mean, it's so unlikely to be a bluff. I'm a little surprised by the sizes he picked on the flop and turn, but I think this is just yet another huge hand. And sometimes when I get into these spots, you can go through all the ranges over this, all of that. It's like, do you really think the guy who open limps the cutoff is going to be the same guy who now calls this turn check raise and then raises the river and doesn't have anything? I mean, it just doesn't seem to be the way things tend to go. Like, it just doesn't really go hand in hand. So then the next hand, I think, was against his girlfriend. Both of them were Asian poker players. The young lady limps the button. I check 9-5 off in the big blind. Flop was queen 8-6, 2 diamonds. We both check. Turn is an 8. I bet 10. She calls. The river is the 3 of diamonds, so there is a possible flush. I bet 70, a little more than 2 times the pie, and she snap calls with pocket 7s, no diamonds. Okay. I know this is not that big of a pot, but it's just like, this is just an example of what I'm talking about. It's like, how do these people know exactly what to do every single time? I mean, all right, nice hand. Get into the next day and played a little bit with the blue whale again, and I've been trying to adjust to the blue whale because he's been folding to me. I mean, it's hard to get him to fold much of anything, but I've been making some hands against me and not getting calls, and I don't know what he's throwing away, but after seeing some of the hands he's beating me to the pot with, you gotta start jamming it in there when you got anything and hope he does that again, but it hasn't been happening most recently. Anyway, I raised with jacks to 20, and I think he 3-bet to 50 out of the small blind, and he wasn't that deep. I'm just going with it with jacks here, but I didn't shove. I probably could have shoved, but I made a 175. He immediately calls, and the flop came ace high, and this is brutal. He checks, and I'm never getting him to fold anything better, of course. I mean, I don't want to turn jacks into a bluff here. I check back. He's not going to do anything on the turn unless he can beat me. But he has this consistent verbal tell, and that is whenever you check and he has a big hand, he always says, I know you don't have anything. And he always shows up with a big hand when he does this. I mean, it's like automatic. I've never seen him say that, get to showdown, and then not turn over a really big hand. So then he goes all in on the turn, or he bet 250. I don't know what he did. I mean, he's gonna have an ace. He 3-bet. He called the 4-bet. He's gonna have ace something. So he wins. Then I get a hand against him where I could have stacked him if I had decided to just continue to be aggressive. But instead, I raise with ace 3, and he calls, and the flop comes like ace 7 deuce. He checks, and I check back, and I turn a 3. And I think it went check call, and then the river was nothing, and then he bet small, and I raised, and he called with ace 10. I mean, that's a typical hand with blue, where yes, I fucked him and 3 out at him, but he does this all the time. He puts himself in these spots where he's betting with really weak hands in situations where he'll never be called by worse. He could be raised by better, probably will be a lot, and then he just doesn't fold. And if you're bluffing, he's just lucky to catch someone bluffing, because most of the time, river raises mean very big hand. Next hand with blue, he limps the button. I check the big blind, we're heads up. I have 9-8 off, and the flop comes 10 jack queen, 2 clubs. So I flop the little straight, and to make a long story short, I check raise, he 3-bet, I 4-bet, he 5-bet all in, with a hand that had a fair amount of equity. He had 10-8 of clubs, so he had bottom pair with a straight flush draw. He can chop with the 9 too, but he bricked. Woohoo. So we get into the next day. First hand I play after about 20 minutes is a straddle, and I raise to 30 or 35 with king jack off. I think I was in the low jack. The big blind called and the straddle called, and the flop came king 8-7, 2 clubs. They both check, and I checked back. I didn't want to get check raised. They seemed like thinking players. They were both deep, and I just think the hand will perform pretty well. Checking back top pair here sometimes. Turn is another 7, and then the big blind leads for an overbet of 130. The straddle folds, and I thought about this for a little bit. I mean, I'm not thrilled about calling, but I don't think I can fold just yet when I take this line of checking back the flop. Kind of wanted to fold because either one of us can still have a 7, and he's just leading for a big overbet, so that made me a little worried. But all right, let's just see what he does on the river, and the river is another 7. So that certainly simplified things, and he checked. And I actually just checked back here. I didn't think I really needed to. I didn't really think I was getting trapped, but I just figured this is either a trap or he's giving up. And I could bet 10 or 15% of the pot, but, to try and induce a raise. But I'm also worried I don't want to be raised. I'm worried that if he raises me, he's only going to raise if he has it. So I just wanted to see what he had, because I figured I'm just going to win this hand. And he had jack 10 off, so led the turn with a gut shot. It's a really loose call pre. I mean, after seeing him do that, I thought, okay, this guy looks the part, but I don't know if he's going to play the part. Probably not. So I've been quiet still, and then this white guy on my right, just the typical late 40s, 50s looking dad, beard, clearly not good at poker. He had lost a big pot, and he was adding some money. He pulled out some cash. And the guy who I had just checked down the king jack hand against, he raises to 20, I think. And fish in the cutoff calls. I 3-bet to 85 with ace 9 of clubs, and they both call. And the flop comes 7-7 deuce, 2 spades. I got total air. They check, and I know this is, if there's ever a flop to give up on, I mean, maybe these are the types. I got nothing. And I know one barrel probably won't end the hand here unless I just have the best hand. But people get to so many spots with very marginal hands that they don't want to stack off with. So it's stressful to just barrel and barrel and barrel, but it also makes a lot of money, and that part is not stressful. So I bet 150. The open raiser folded, and the fish who double flatted pre-calls again. And then I just verified how much cash he had, because I knew it was in play. He tells me it's 500. He's like, it's all going to you. Okay, so when he says that, I don't think he's saying that with a big hand yet. Turner's a 10, and he checks. And I thought about this for a little bit. I mean, I don't want to tank too long, because I'm tempted to give up. I'm tempted to just stuff it in there. I don't know if this guy is going to want to just stack off with pocket threes or something. So the pot's got about 550 something, and I guess he's got about 750-ish. I don't remember the exact amount. I jam, he snap calls. Here we go again. So river's nothing. I was like, I'm like, you're going to win. He's like, no, you're going to win. I got excited for a moment. I turned my hand over. He turns over the winner with ace jack of spades. So he just punted at the perfect time because he's got a better ace high. And it's really sick because his turn call is just torching. I mean, if he's making the assumption that I have, let's just say, just pocket eights, then he's not getting the price to call with 2 overs and a flush draw. He just dumps his money in there and just wants to hit. And it's sick because you would think that if he wants to like just get it in and try and win with his hand, then you tend to see people check raise the flop with his hand, like check jam. But he didn't do that. He calls the flop and then he just calls all in on the turn. I mean, and it's just so gross that he has me fucking crushed. I mean, I was a little worried about him having a flush draw with a 10 in his hand. Then I'm going to be in really bad shape and maybe second guessing this a little more. But it's like he had ace jack of spades. He could have had ace 3, ace 4, ace 5, ace 6, ace 8, ace 9. If he has ace 9, he's chopping with me. I mean, he's got a free roll, but he's not going to have me beat if we doesn't improve. Even as is, I had some chop outs against his hand. I mean, I just happened to not have ace king or ace queen. And he could have had king queen, king jack, queen jack of spades. I mean, king 9 of spades. I mean, he just happened to have the perfect fucking hand in the situation. So it just goes back to something I said a few days ago about decision variance and how they're just not playing good at all. They're making so many blunders, so many poor decisions that are just thoughtless, mindless, senseless. But it's not affecting the result when they get it all in. They're getting exactly what they want. And, I didn't want to like berate him or anything. I mean, I don't do that, but I couldn't keep my mouth completely shut for this one. A minute or two later, I'm like, God, it's like, can't even give it away. And he's like, I know, he's just saying some dumb thing. Oh, I've been on both sides. I don't know what kind of stupid shit he's saying. I was like, you're allowed to win. So now that I have this image, I expect people to think that I'm going to be quite aggressive. I just stuffed it in there with a total airball, and they saw what I lost to, and they saw that it's fucking ridiculous, but okay, now I think I'm primed to get paid if I hit something. Then comes a hand where I have pocket queens in the small blind, and the big blind limped under the gun. Now, the big blind is a reg I've been playing with for a long time, and he's used to be a crusher. I don't even know if he wins anymore. All I know is he likes to just dump his stack in pre-flop when he's not having a big day, or if he's losing. Like, you could raise to 20 and he'll just shove like 1,000. And he's almost never doing this with a really big hand. In fact, in the last few weeks, I've caught him a couple of times with getting it in with like small middle pairs and just against 2 overs and holding. So I was expecting from this point on that next time he dumps it in with me, like he's probably going to have it this time because he knows I'm not willing to get it in with only huge hands against him. Like I am willing to get it in with something that's not great. Anyway, he limps under the gun with a straddle, and I raised to 65, I think, out of the small blind with queens. And he calls. The flop came king high, all diamonds. I don't have a diamond. I thought for a while and checked. He checked back. Turn was a jack, I think. It was a card that I wasn't afraid of. I bet he called. And the river was a 10. So ace queen makes it straight. I thought about betting small or checking. Obviously really don't want to get raised if I bet. I just checked, and he checked. And he had pocket queens as well. So he had a diamond, which means he had the free roll. I'm just shocked to see his hand because I figured this is a hand he's going to want a limp shove or raise and then 4-bet shove. I just don't know what he's thinking. I mean, it wouldn't have mattered this time, but like, you've been getting it in really light against me, and now you have a chance to get it in with a huge hand, and you don't do it? You don't even try? I mean, I'll admit, I didn't think he had a hand in the range of a big pair when he just limp calls. So, okay. But why would he want to do that when he sees me getting it all in with him with like sixes and hands like that? All right. Next hand I get to play, I have king, queen of spades. Is the straddle on? I think I made it 30 or 40. I don't even fucking remember. The big blind 3-bet. And I almost folded because I didn't think at this point that I was going to get 3-bet out of position from anybody that wasn't really strong. But I have a pretty strong hand myself, and we're deep. And it was that guy I mentioned before who overbet the turn on King 8 7 7 and only had Jack 10 off. So just thought, all right, I got King Queen suited, I got playability. I'll just see the friggin' flop. And then I flopped the nuts. All right, glad I called. Ace 7 3 all spades. And he checks. And I didn't think this guy was going to be check folding anything that was like somewhat good. I mean, if he has a total airball, then I'm probably not going to win much anyway. But I figure, all right, I got a bet. He may have only an ace. Like if he has like ace jack suited and just has a pure top pair and nothing else, this could be a spot where he just wants to call down a lot. Or even if he has like jacks or tens with a spade, if he has 3 aces, which I doubt, but if he has 3 aces, that would be pretty excellent. Calls a small flop bet. Turn was nothing. Immediately folds to the turn bet. Then I play another single raise pot with him where I have 3s. He raised. I call on the button. Flop comes 10 7 3, 2 clubs, and he check folds. Then I got Ace King versus Mr. Pocket Queen's limp. I raised to 35 over a straddle. He makes it 160, and I actually was a little nervous when he did that because it just felt like he had a big hand, but I thought, I've seen him 3-bet to big sizes too without super strong hands, so I could just go with this one. So I rip like 1,000, 1,100. He snaps. He also has Ace King. He had Ace King suited, and we split again. So then I play another pot with the man who spazzed at the perfect time with Ace Jack suited. He raises 20 under the gun. I make it 60 with 8s. He calls. Flop is King Queen 4, and I'm not really sure what I want to do here. So I guess betting is fine. If you can get a read on the guy throughout the hand that he's weak and doesn't want to call down again, thinks you're not going to bluff again, I could turn this hand into a bluff, so I got options. He check calls 60, and then a turn is an 8. And now he leads 75. So when he only leads 75, he's not that strong. I don't know what he thinks this bet is going to achieve for him, but that's what he did. So I raised to 230, takes a little bit of time and calls. And the river was a 7, it was brick. He checks, and I'm supposed to jam, right? Right? The pot has about 700, I guess. And the jam was about the pot size, and he just immediately shows a king, folds, and says, take it. Right on the money, once again. How do they always know? Then he took a break for a little while, and then when he was coming back in, I asked him, I was like, do you want your blind? And he's like, yeah. And he says to me and says to the table, he's like, he just wants my money. I was like, why do you think we're here? It's like, I want everybody's money. I didn't come here because I didn't want the money. Okay. So then I table changed because I went card dead for a while and I felt like my image was just wasted away now. I wasn't getting called when I had something anyway. One guy wants his straddle on the new table. He wants the button straddle, that is. Deaver says he can't do that. Then he got an all-in. He wanted to run it twice. He can't do that. He's like, you can't make deals. He's like, you can't straddle on the button. He's like, what can you do here? I was like, you can check and raise. You ever notice that in some poker rooms? You read the rules posted, and it says check and raise is allowed. I asked about that once to somebody. They said, yeah, there are some home games. They're called gentlemen's games where you're not allowed to check raise. Wow. That is a gentleman's game. How much would that affect so many situations knowing that you can't get check raise? How ham you can go for thin value. But casinos allow you to check and raise. So that game was really boring too. Table changed again, and things continue to not be that great. There was this Chinese player in the game. I've been playing with this guy on and off for a while. He has some impressive know-how at times. He is extremely aggressive sometimes, but he's such a fucking tilt monkey that this guy is just a whale. But in the last year, you could tell he's put some work in. Because I noticed the sizes he uses in a lot of spots. He's using like these very calculated sizes. You could just tell that this guy has been trying to learn more about poker. Then that doesn't mean it's gonna take away from who he is and what he's liable to do. But if he's on points, if he's playing well, he's dangerous. He's a dangerous fish. He's the type of guy you want to play with when he's losing, and if he's winning, it's not really that critical you be there with him. But he was going on a bit of a losing rush, and you can tell he's starting to do what he does when he's losing. He races under the gun to 15. There's a call on the small blind 3-bets to 85, another young Asian player, and the whale hesitantly calls. And the flop was like 9-5 deuce or something. And the 3-better checks, and the whale bets like 55 into like 200. And he gets check raised to, 250-ish. And he calls. And the turn, I think, was an 8 or a 6, or I don't know. It was something that didn't seem that significant. And then the 3-better who had just check raised, he bets 450, and the whale tanks for a while again and calls. And there's still a bit of money left. And the river is another 9. And now the small blind checks. The whale checks. Small blind was bluffing with ace-queen off. Probably wasn't planning to check raise flop until he saw the quarter-size flop bet. But he loses at showdown to king-deuce suited. And then the whale says he was calling river had he small blind jammed the river, which would have been about 750. Would have been about a half pot size jam. And I believe him that he was going to snap. And then he says, I don't like getting check raised. So he gets to raise with king-deuce suited under the gun, call a 3-bet with still another player left. Action wasn't closed yet. And now he gets to win a huge pot post-flop because he doesn't like getting check raised. Maybe that's what I've been missing these last couple of weeks. Now, to this guy's credit, I suppose. I mean, I don't even know if I should be giving him credit. I mean, he can make good reads sometimes, but had he called the river jam and lost, now he just loses his freaking ass with king-deuce suited just for no fucking reason. When people start losing and start just dumping the money in left and right, and they say, oh, I was snap calling, oh, I had a read. Yeah, I don't know that they necessarily had a read every time they say that. I mean, sometimes you just want to have a read, and you go with a hand in a spot that you're just hoping and praying you win, and you're just deluding yourself thinking that you have a read. And most of the times you don't. I don't think it really matters if he had a read or not. I mean, this is just the kinds of things that this guy does. So it can make him scary to bluff. But anyway, so he's off tilt now, and now there comes a limp and a late position raise to 15. I 3-bet to 70 from the small blind with 10s, and he cold 4-bets to 250 out of the big blind. And we're deep, and I don't really want to call, but I think we're too deep that I probably have to. So I do. And the flop comes Jack 9-9 rainbow, and I check call 150, and I just feel like I'm going to lose this hand. Turn was a 5 of clubs. I check, he works it for a while, he bets 405, just about half pot, and if I call, then that's going to leave me with about 900 on the river, which means he's going to be jamming a little over half pot, and I just think the chances of him not shoving are extremely, extremely low. And when I call his cold 4-bet out of position and then call the flop bet, he's double barreling and setting up for a river shove. I mean, what are the chances he doesn't have a pair of 10s beat? He's got to know that I can have 9s or jacks or queens. Just think he's going to have kings or aces here a lot. All right, you win. So then I seat change. First hand I get is aces, raise, and taketh. Altogether, I don't think I got really smoked on this day, but just very aggravating with the results. So then I thought, okay, why don't I go to the Aria and try and break the curse again? I mean, I've talked about this a couple times, that the Aria just has me totally spooked. I have so few hours there at the 2.5, going back to when it was just a $1,000 max. I got rid of that 4 years ago. And the reason I have so few hours there is because I get smoked there all the fucking time. It's just, it fucks with you, and it's hard to want to keep going back. But once in a while, I poke my head up and try and break the curse again. So on the very first hand of a new table, because of course I was already tilted before we even started. I mean, I think I was first up on the list for like an hour and a half. I think there were 1 or 2 games going. There's nobody left. Just stuck here like a fucking asshole. All right, so we got a new game at least, and the table looks pretty interesting. First hand is blind versus blind. I'm in the small. I raised to 20 with queen 8 off. Big blind calls. And I think the flop was king 7-4. And I just checked. He checks back. I turn a queen. I bet, and now he raises. I know this is not a big pot, but it's just like this is just like life at the Aria for me. I just always put in these funky, peculiar spots. And the man who raised me is this white man with a beard. I mean, just this man just fits the profile of just the typical nitty guy who's going to be like trappy and weird with big hands and make raises at peculiar times and try and make it look like he's bluffing, and he's just not going to be bluffing, so whatever. I just fold. And he didn't show me his hand. He told me he had king jack, which is believable. I mean, maybe he's not telling the truth, but whatever. Just roll my eyes. Don't think about it. And then we're 10 minutes into the session, and it folds to my button. The shadow's on. I raise to 35. He calls small blind. We're heads up. Flop comes queen 6-5, 2 clubs. And he check calls 55. Turns an 8, and he check calls 175. So I guess the pot's got around 550 again, and then the river's a king, and he takes a little while, and he bets 350. Here we go again. It's like already starting. How is it? The game is just so streaky sometimes. This is why it's just such a mind fuck. It's like, I can't even go 10 minutes in this fucking room without getting put in some really, really shitty spot. Now, is he going to do this with just king X of clubs? Maybe. King queen, we know, comes to mind. If he flopped or turned a really big hand, I would have guessed he would have check raised at some point before the river. But just this whole line is just so rarely, if anything, ever a bluff. So what else is new? I fold. And you know what he shows me? Queen jack of clubs. What the fuck is this guy thinking? I mean, there's a 7% chance that I get an overcard to my hand on the river that isn't a club. So there's only 3 kings that put me in this specific dilemma. And now you're going to take his hand. And he flops a big hand. Doesn't 3-bet pre, but he flops a big hand. Top pair of flush draw. He's outkicked. Pretty sick spot for me, if I can hold. And then I do. And he has a hand that is just, everyone and their mother is just always checking the river with his hand. And if he checks, am I betting? Yeah, probably. But like, if he checks like every other fucking person in the universe does, I mean, I'm going to just win this hand one way or another. And it's just like, what possesses these people to make these decisions sometimes? It's like, after he shows me the hand, I mean, because he just seemed confident on the river, I just did not think this guy was bluffing. And I said to him, I was like, were you bluffing, or did you think you had the best hand? He's like, wasn't sure. He's like trying to see where I was at. Like, what? I'm losing to these fucking people. I mean, it was just, I feel like there's just a 1 in 1,000 chance that this river, followed by the sequence of action, like maybe even less frequently than 1 in 1,000. That hand, queen jack of clubs, you're leading that river with that hand. Nobody fucking does this. So it's like, if I knew this guy was a fucking idiot, I mean, I would have just paid it off. But like, when you're playing against new people, you know, you're going to make assumptions about them because people who look like them just have so many tendencies and habits that it's just, when you got nothing to go off of, you're just going to go off assumptions of people who fit this profile and do your best. So, you know, it doesn't come to you always right away who the fish are. You know, it can take a little bit of time to just see what kinds of mistakes people are making. I mean, up until that point, I mean, it was 10 fucking minutes. I mean, it's like, I got nothing to go on really to just have a clear understanding of just what a button clicker this guy is. And I'm just so freaking tilted because it's like the Aria, this place, just like, it's like I'm being poked with a voodoo doll whenever I come into this place. It's a ridiculous spot to be put in. Oh my God. With the hand that he has. Be totally different if he's just bluffing with an air ball and just knows he can't win at showdown and just takes a shot at it with Jack 10 of clubs or just anything. I mean, ace X of clubs. Just throws a bet out there, even though it's really dangerous for him to be doing that. Just does it anyway. I mean, this was like a throwback. Queen Jack of clubs. So I walk away from a pot that had like $900 in it, and I'm like already want to shoot myself. And next hand I play is ace queen off again, where I 3-bet the cutoff. She had raised to 30. Straddle's still on. I made it 130. She calls, and I think the flop was like queen 10-6, something like that, rainbow. And I've played with this woman before, and in the right lineups, she's going to win. She's pretty nitty. I had stacked her the year before where she went out of her mind with top pair and I had a set. And it's a spot where I'm just never bluffing, but she thinks I'm too prone to being a blaster and she just stacks off. So I don't think she's going to do that again. And I think I bet 150 on the flop. And she's thinking and thinking and thinking for a while. And I think she raises to 450, basically committing herself to shoving. And, I almost spazzed because of what had just happened the hand before. But I just think this is going to be a set of tens so often. Maybe a set of queens, only one combo. And why she'd raise this flop with such a huge hand, I mean, I don't know. Maybe she's thinking about the hand from last year, just trying to level me. I don't know. Maybe she's worried I have ace king and just doesn't want me to get there. I mean, who knows? We see what players do all the time. When they have a big hand, they're just so afraid to lose that they just overplay it and miss value. I mean, I don't think she's doing this with king, queen, or queen, jack. She's not that other guy. And I almost stuffed it in there. I mean, I don't know for a fact that this was the correct fold, but I'm very comfortable with the fact that I did get myself to fold here. So the straddle remained for a little while. Eventually it came off, but then button opened to 30, I think, over a limp. So I know he's not going to be super strong when he only goes 30 when there's already a limp. So I made a 130 with a pair of pocket aces. I had ace. The big blind called, and the button called. And the big blind was this new player, Asian lady. Don't know anything about her either. The flop was ace king 4, rainbow. The flop was so good it was bad, but all right, good problem to have. We all check. Turn is a deuce. It's 2 hearts now. I check again. She bets 160, folds back to me. And I know that this is not a big hand, but I don't think she's going to be betting river. So I just check raise to 340 in case she does have a flush draw. Then instead of letting her see the river and giving up on it when she misses and betting when she gets there, at least I charge her now because I don't think she's going to just bluff river. And she just immediately folds. Fine. At least I won the hand. Then this same guy who just opened the button, he opens under the gun. I'm next to action 3-bet to 60 with ace jack of clubs. And I think the flop was something like, he calls. Flop was something like queen 7 deuce, 2 clubs. He check calls. I miss on the turn. We go check. And I hit the flush on the river. It pairs a 7, but he only bets 100 into 300. And he had about a pot size shove left, but even though I keep getting called super light over and over and over these last few weeks, firing so many bluffs that have continued to just go down one after another. And by the way, I'll say one other thing about that. I'll give myself credit for one thing. All these bluffs that have gone down, huge bluff, all getting called. I'll give myself credit for the fact that I am continuing to fire them. That if the spot looks good, I'm still going to do it. And I'm not getting deterred by the variance. Because it's very easy to get deterred by variance in all kinds of ways. In any event, he only bets 100 into 300, and I just don't think he's going to call a shove, so I just raised to 300. He didn't think that long, and he called. Okay, I finally had a hand and got the last bet in that I was looking for. Time after time, they're calling all the bluffs and making all the folds. Meanwhile, this queen jack of clubs genius sitting on my left, he's continuing to run his stack up. I don't know what he started with, maybe 1,800, I don't know. He's doing good, though. Nothing really bad has happened to him. Then I seat changed, just to get him a little closer to my right. He wasn't on my right, but I went from seat 7, I think, to seat 5, or I don't know. Just to get a few extra hands with position on him. Folds over. Table's been really boring now, but he's still giving a little bit of action. And because he's such a clicker, you're just hoping and praying something will happen against him. So I raise with 2s to 20 in the cutoff. Button calls. He 3-bets to 95. And I actually kind of wanted to 4-bet because I didn't think he was light. I just thought 2s were the best hand. Well, whatever, I call. Give the chance of button to call. He doesn't call. Flop comes Queen 10 deuce. Rainbow. Okay. He bets 75. Only about a third. This is not going to be a big hand. I call. Turn is a 3. It's 2 hearts now. Now he bets 250. Bet a lot bigger. Still felt like I probably have him dead or almost dead. And I raise now to 625. I mean, I feel like it's just so obvious what I have here, but the pot is not huge, and I got to try to make it huge. And maybe he turns some equity, so I raise him, and he's just thinking, and he's like agonizing. And I don't think this is a Hollywood. I think he's just being a fish. I was like, if he jams, I'm just going with it. Like, if he has the cooler, then he's going to win. There are other guys I would fold this hand to a 3-bet shove to, but not this guy. Okay? I'd kill myself before I do that. And he calls. And I don't know what he's got left. Maybe 12, 1300. This pot's pretty big now. River is a 4. No heart. Potential straight is ace-5, though, or 5-6. And now he lead jams. And I snap called. And he just shrugs his shoulders. Turns over ace-king off. Wow. And he just walked away. It looked like he was in a little bit of shock, stacking off there. And this was just one of the most satisfying moments I've ever had in poker. I mean, I didn't do anything brilliant. It was just so satisfying and felt so rewarding to see a man who plays this bad and feeling so good about himself to just fuck himself, screw himself right into the ground. Because I could tell that this guy was just getting this hugely misplaced sense of overconfidence against me. I don't know if he figured out that I probably did fold the winner when he showed me the queen jack. I mean, whatever was going on with him, he just seemed to really feel like he was on top of what he's doing and just doesn't realize that this entire time he's been playing, he's just this little child walking across a 6-lane freeway and somehow wasn't getting hit by any cars. That's what this guy was doing. And then this time, finally, on the same day, he gets punished to the max, punishes himself, stacking off with that hand. He flops the Broadway draw. And I was right about, if I had 4-bet pre, I was right that I had him beat. But whatever. Chose not to do it. It's not a mistake. Flops a lot of equity and gets nothing on the turn. Gets raised. Faces a pretty healthy-sized raise and still thinks he shouldn't fold. And you could just tell it's because, like I said, he had this completely misplaced sense of overconfidence. Just thinks whatever he does against me, it's going to work. If he hits an ace or king, he'll win somehow. If he's the jack, he's got the nuts. If he misses, I can just bluff him. I mean, it's like, I just called your flop bet and just raised you on the turn. Like, what do you think is going on right now? You think I'm going to fold to you again, like anything? I mean, if I had just ace-queen, let's just say I had ace-queen and chose to play it this way, would I have folded that hand on the river to the jam? I don't think I would have. I mean, it's just, I've seen this guy show just how stupid he is, that if I have a hand that bluff catches fairly well, I mean, I don't know what I'm expecting him to turn over. I don't know what I was expecting to see. If he's going to show me ace-5 of hearts, then God bless him, right? But I mean, it's just, I just decided I'm not going to go in depth thinking about what to do against this guy because he is completely brain dead. If he's the type who's going to take the queen jack of clubs, check call, queen 6-5, 2 clubs, check call the 8, no club, and then no club on the river to king. And now he just leads for like 60% of the pot on that card with this hand, which accomplishes nothing for him, okay? Unless he's just so perfectly lucky enough to be specifically against ace-queen, against somebody who's just seen this situation too many times and is beat too many times and just chooses to fold. I mean, when you're going up against this guy, I mean, it's like you got to take some chances against these people. You know, you can't just wait for the stone cold nuts. So yeah, if I had a hand like ace-queen there, if I'm raising the turn, it's probably because I think I should go with it. So it didn't happen. That's not the situation I was in, but I think I would have been willing to just stack off there. I just happened to have a set. You know, everybody's disappointed when they see this guy stack off because he was like the one big spot. But you know something? This is just all about the floating invisible numbers. When you're playing against people over time and you're just thinking about things that make sense and they're thinking about things that don't make sense, just sooner or later, it causes like this cataclysmic reaction where all of a sudden everything just comes together and somebody just makes a just unthinkably stupid decision because you're just piling up all these points in energy, like all the floating numbers which are invisible that you're just picking out of the air by having a good thought process, because it's all part of like your energy and what's being radiated around the table session after session. So this is just what happens. The money just comes to you. People just punt and do stupid things that they might not do as often against somebody else. I mean, I'm not saying this couldn't have happened to someone else, but when you're leading the pack at picking out the floating invisible numbers, these things will happen to you more often. And when I got in the car, and I'm still buried in this fucking 2-5 Aria game, but I got in the car, I just screamed at the top of my lungs for like a second. Maybe like something a lion does after it wins a fight to the death. Just a cathartic release of just how many huge pots that have gone so horribly wrong at the Aria. Some of which are becoming my fault. I mean, because I'm just getting so mind-fucked that it's causing me to make mistakes. But with or without those mistakes, it just feels like every time I'm in a big pot at the Aria, something goes horribly wrong, and finally something went right. So I let out some of that aggravation in the car. Thought about pushing my luck the next day at the Aria, but yeah, it was pretty boring, so I didn't stay very long. So I go back over to the win. First hand I play, I'm in the small blind with 10s. Is our late position raised to 15. 3-bet to 70, big blind cold called. He looked fishy, but he's new, and the razor called. Flop comes ace-6 deuce rainbow. We all check. Turns a 7 of spades. I do not have a spade. I bet 90 in the big blind call. We go heads up. River's a 5. I check, and he bets half pot 210 quickly. And he didn't look that weak to me, but I tend to call the half pot sizes on the river with the bluff catchers. And I figured he'd probably just be betting his big aces on the flop or raising turn with any of his sets or two pairs, now that there's a combo draw available on the turn, since the 6 and 7 were both spades. If I had the 10 of spades, I'd definitely fold, but I didn't. So, I don't know if he can have king 10, queen jack, jack 10, queen 10. I mean, 10-9. I mean, it wasn't a call I felt very good about, but I called, and he had a set of sixes, flopped a set. So just another situation where I'm seeing people show up with really huge hands and just play them against the way you're used to seeing people play them. That's been happening a lot lately. And like I say, it's just decision variance. People just doing the perfect thing at the perfect time. So in the next orbit, the cutoff raises again. There's a young guy, and he's been losing. And he limped 10-5 suited his first hand, so this guy's not here to try and be a champion. 3-bet jacks. He calls. Flop comes jack 9-7. I mean, yeah, I know I can bet, and I'm not saying I shouldn't bet, but I just think this guy's going to be super wide. So I think checking is fine too. I expect him to bet a lot of different things here. And if he has air, I want to give him a chance to bluff and not just let him fold to a c-bet. So I check, but if he checks back. Turn is another 7. I think I bet like 50 or 60. Now he raises, and I call, and the river's a 3. He felt pretty strong, so I thought he probably had something. I check, he bet 500, he bet close to the pot. I jam, and he folds right away. All right, well, fine. Caught him bluffing then. Woohoo. That game got boring, a table changed, and then something happened that repeated itself from something that had happened the week before. I'll explain that in a second. There was a couple of limps. I raised to 30 on the button with jack 10 of clubs. We go 3 ways, and it comes 8-9-3, I think, with 2 clubs. So I got the open-ended straight flush draw. Cutoff check calls. The turn was like a 5, I think. I mean, just a brick. He checks, I check. I hit the flush on the river. Small club. He bets like a 30, bets 75. He's not deep at all. I just raise all in for maybe 250 total. He calls, and he's got the queen 7 of clubs. He's got me flushed. So, frustrating, but at least it wasn't a huge pot, but God. Just to the size he picked. I mean, if he had potted it, yeah, you know what? I'm probably just doubling him up no matter what size he picks, but it's just very peculiar to see fish. They're just so random with their sizes sometimes. Sometimes they go big, sometimes they go small. I mean, most of the time they go big, but when they don't go big or get aggressive, it's just, you're always caught off guard because the fishy players tend not to wait when they have a big hand. I mean, most people don't. You're not really supposed to. But then he says to me, nice hand. I doubled him up and he said, nice hand. And just a week before this, I had triple barrel bluffed and jammed the river, and this French lady tank calls me with top pair. Then a couple hands later, she said to me, nice hands, congratulating me for losing when I was bluffing. And now this guy is congratulating me. I mean, and I know neither one of them meant to be disrespectful. I mean, he's just a nice guy, but just doesn't realize that I don't want to be congratulated right now. Like, I don't want to be spoken to right now. Like, yes, it's a cold deck. But I just said to the table, this is the second time in a week that someone has told me nice hand after I lost the max. Why can't people just shut up? Why is that so fucking difficult? Why is that so fucking difficult? So, we're in late August still. Tourism's been down. Games have been boring more often than they normally are. Not as many tables, hoping the economy picks up soon so that we get some more life in the casino. I mean, just forget about the games. I mean, just get some life in the casino. The other night, I walked from the Wynn to the Resorts World at like 1 or 2 a.m. And I know it's Tuesday night, but like, I'd never seen this. There was nobody. I was walking there, and it's not that long of a walk, but I could count on one hand how many people I saw. I mean, this reminded me of COVID. I have never seen the Strip be that deserted, any part of the Strip, at any time of the day, during any time of the year. It was a little depressing. But all right, on we go. Every day is a gift. Every day above ground is a good day. Never forget that. We'll see you next time.